All right, Frank, we're back with the next movie in this quarantine edition of your list. It's Dark of the Sun. Dark of the Sun is a 1968 action-adventure film directed by world-renowned cinematographer Jack Cardiff. It stars Rod Taylor, Jim Brown, Yvette Mimieux, Peter Carsten, Kenneth Moore, and like a ton of other people. There's a lot of other people that are in this, so I'm not going to go through all of them, but yeah, there's it's a big cast, needless to say. Dark of the Sun is about a group of mercenaries who are sent through war-torn Congo to retrieve $50 million in uncut diamonds by their client. Once they get to the area that the diamonds are in, they find a group of civilians that need to be removed from the area before a separatist army invades and kills them all. So the captain of the team decides that he's going to try and rescue these people as well as get the diamonds and try and get everyone out before the other army attacks. Your thoughts on Dark of the Sun are? I saw this one with Alan Dennis. I don't remember it too well, but it was badass. Ah, Alan Dennis, our mutual friend. I need to call him. I haven't talked to him in a while. So my thoughts on Dark of the Sun, I really enjoyed this film. It was a lot of fun. These films, like, you don't see very many films like this anymore. And when I say that, it's not that you don't see the genre, but just ones that are made as well as Dark of the Sun. Usually, if there is a film like this, it's low budget and they get actors that are not that great, and you just sort of get these, like, it just feels like a half done kind of thing, you know, whereas Dark of the Sun feels like it's very fully realized. One of the things that I will say about it, and I have a feeling that a lot of this has to do with the fact that Jack Cardiff directed it, but the cinematography in this film is gorgeous. I mean, part of it is the color timing, but just like the scenery and the shots and the lighting in it is just like, perfect. But again, Jack Cardiff, legendary cinematographer who also directed this, I'm pretty sure that he had a lot to do with that. And he has been, the lead cinematographer for some absolutely gorgeous, legendary films. So check him out on IMDb and watch some of the stuff that he's done. It's amazing. On that note as well, the production design is just, and the locations are just fantastic. I don't know, I didn't do the research to find out like exactly where they shot this, but it is gorgeous, just stunning. And that's, I think, a big part of like why this works so well is the way that he photographed all of this stuff. There's this scene where they're on a train going up, into the area where the diamonds are, and the way that he photographs the town that the diamonds are in, like the wide shots that he uses are just like, it's beautiful. It's beautiful stuff. Can't say enough about it. I know this whole video is just going to be me praising the cinematography for this film. The rest of it's great too, acting's good. The score is really interesting for this film because it almost feels like does not feel like a typical sort of like war movie. I mean, it's not technically a war movie, I guess, but like it doesn't feel like a war movie kind of score. I feel like I'm doing the Parasite, but yeah, it does not feel like a war movie score. It almost feels like it's more jazz influenced. I actually kind of want to get the soundtrack now. The soundtrack doesn't feel like it belongs in that movie, but at the same time, it works perfectly with that movie, which is what's so strange about it. The one complaint that I probably do have about this film is Yvette Mimieux. I don't know whether it's the writing or whether it's the way that she portrays it, but her character feels like really off in this film. Emotionally, she's like all over the place. It's like 1 minute she's hysterical, the next minute she's like super calm and like making deals and like I don't know how to describe it, but her character is just so like all over the place, you know, that I just can't. Every time she was on screen, I would just be like, I don't know, I don't know what I'm supposed to get out of this person, you know. Everybody else has like an arc, you know. They have attitudes, and when those attitudes change, like it makes sense that they change because something happened to make them change. Whereas Yvette Mimieux's character feels like it's just like, oh, the wind changed, so now I'm hysterical. You know, like it just doesn't. It didn't make sense to me. She was the only trip up for me with this film. Other than that, I really liked Dark of the Sun. Enjoyed it a lot. I was really glad that I was able to find it on Warner Archive because it is not available, or at least at the time that I watched it, it was not available on any sort of VOD services or anything like that. So yeah, I ended up actually buying it from Warner Archive. But I had never heard of it before, but when you put it on the list and I was sort of looking into it, it was so fascinating. The poster graphic was so fascinating, and the story seemed interesting. And I was like, I really want to get this film, even if it's not good. Like I would still like to see it. And luckily, Warner Archive was able to hook that up for me. So I had to pay for it. This is not like a sponsored thing or anything. I would love for them to send me free DVDs and Blu-rays, like that would be killer. But yeah, I had to pay for this. So, but it was worth it. I enjoyed it a lot. Okay, so the next film on your list, Frank, is number 45. It's the Robert De Niro directed A Bronx Tale. Looking forward to seeing this. This film has bounced around a lot for me in my life. I've always seen the DVD of it. I don't know if you know this, but when I was in college, I worked at Target, and one of the things that I did, I worked on like the early morning stock team. So we showed up. There it is, Parasite again, early morning stock team. And we would show up at like 4 in the morning and stock until like 10 in the morning, I think. But eventually, because I was in film school and I talked about movies so much, they eventually put me into the movies, music, and book section. So that's what I would do. That was like the first thing that I would do. And then when I finished that, like I would go help in the general parts. But like Bronx Tale was one of those DVDs that was like, you know, I feel like was constantly around during that period of time. And I was always like, oh, I need to watch that, but I never got around to it. So now that it's on the list, I get a chance to see it. So, and I didn't know that Robert De Niro directed it and stars in it. So looking forward to it. Anyway, like, share, subscribe, all that stuff. Leave a comment. Leave a comment, please. Anybody. I love comments. So anyway, until next time, have a good one.